Very happy to support the progress of this bill, Mr Speaker.
Call Gareth Hughes.
Kia ora, Mr Speaker. Nā mihi nui kia koutou kia ora. It's a real privilege to take a call on this debate in Parliament today. I don't know if I'm the right person, Mr Speaker, to be taking a call, given I'm a vegetarian and have been for the last 11 years. So my interest is in the animals, not necessarily eating the animals. But the Green Party will be welcoming and joining with the other parties in this Parliament this legislation. We will be voting in support. We do support greater information to consumers. We believe it will assist our export markets, that vital New Zealand brand, and support the transition in New Zealand towards a sustainable agricultural sector. I'll only be taking a brief call, Mr Speaker, because I'm speaking on behalf of Kevin Haigh, my colleague who heard the submissions and was involved in the Select Committee. But I do want to just briefly talk about what the bill is going to do, what it can do. I want to look a bit at the new quasi-public-private organisation who will be enforcing the bill, and then lastly look at a bit around the opportunities of this bill, how we can really build that clean, green brand, that valuable brand to New Zealand's economy. So to begin with, Mr Speaker, the bill establishes the National Animal Identification and Tracking System for cattle and deer. We've heard that it's too expensive initially for sheep. I'm not sure the status of pork products in this new body which is being established, but I think we'd question why we're not doing it all at once, why we're not bringing those 30 million sheep in at once, because there are going to be greater costs down the line once we do that. The bill is going to be setting up this rapid trend, the system to follow the rapid and changing, be it diseases or new methods of animals from birth to death. Sort of taking on that cradle to the grave idea, or the farm to the shop tracking system. We support the intent of the bill and how it's being rolled out. We note, though, Mr Speaker, that essentially what's being established is a quasi-public-private enforcement agency. They have significant powers around compliance, searching for documents, or searching and questioning people. They even have powers of detention. I note they're not subject to the Official Information Act request, and we know the establishment of this body is going to be expensive. In earlier documentation, I understand it was on the order of $1 per animal, but now I hear from the debate that we may be facing $2 to $3 per animal, which will be significant costs for especially livestock farmers or people with only a few livestock animals. But I think the greater burden is actually going to be engaging with this new administrative body, the hassle of registering and engaging, and no doubt there'll be a great number of questions. So I think some of the problems we may see around there. But the issue, of course, is an important one. What we are dealing with is human health issues, and there's been some very large cases that we've seen globally that deal with animal health and human health issues. We saw in the UK nearly, 10 years ago, the mad cow disease, the bovine spongiform encephalopathy outbreak, which caused millions of animals there to be slaughtered. We saw a £4 billion bill being faced by the UK government there. Recently in Germany, we've seen food poisoning outbreak from, I think they understand it was salad products. We've seen 48 deaths. And there was literally weeks where European authorities couldn't track what the cause of the illness was or where it was coming from. And I hope a law like this, which will increase identification and tracking of New Zealand livestock animals, will assist if we ever see an outbreak of New Zealand livestock facing something like that. And on the other hand, we've seen the economic costs associated with Turkey's export ban. So it is important that this Parliament is turning its hand at it. We do have some concerns around the new body who will be enforcing this law. But ultimately, we do support greater enforcement. That brand is vitally important to the New Zealand economy. We've got a story to tell. We should be telling it. I recommend members go look at Icebreaker's product tracking guide for their website. They call it a barcode, where you can track their woolen products anywhere in the world from the farm to the shop. Now, it's a good example of innovation by a vibrant Kiwi company, and this is the type of opportunity we should be taking from this bill, actually telling our story, because we do have a story on the whole we can be proud of. The important thing, though, of course, is making sure we've got substance to back up our story, to make sure we've got good animal welfare standards, and the Green Party is disappointed this bill will not be dealing with these critical animal welfare issues we're facing in New Zealand. It's important that substance focus on the environmental impacts of our agricultural sector in New Zealand. in regards to water, to dirty dairy, in regards to climate change. And it's important also that worker standards in our farms are of the highest scratch. So that story we do tell is compelling, and it means that we can charge a premium. We don't want to be a low-cost provider. We're on a hiding to nothing if we're going to chase China or Uruguay to see who can degrade their environment faster to boost productivity. Our game for New Zealand must be focusing on niche, on premiums, on high value, on high knowledge products, not trying to race other countries to destroy our environment to go for the lowest products. So the ultimate irony of this bill, though, Mr. Speaker, is that now, as a result of this bill, foreign consumers have far greater information on New Zealand products than Kiwis do with our imported products. Now, it's been a source of great disappointment to the Green Party. We've had Sue Kedgley champion country of origin labelling, just the simple right that Kiwi consumers should be able to know where their food has come from. I think most Kiwis support it. It's a simple right to know where your food's coming from. But both governments, blue and red, haven't acted on this. It's been disappointing that Labour, through their 9 years in government, didn't act on it, despite constant campaigning by Sue Kedgley. And while I understand Damien Connor is drafting a private members bill, I welcome that. It's great that Labour is coming to see the light on the need for Kiwi consumers to have proper labelling of their food, country of origin labelling. But that's the irony of this bill, Mr. Speaker, that now international consumers will have greater information than Kiwi consumers do. And I hope this acts as an incentive for us in our Parliament to work on country of origin labelling in New Zealand. So in summary, Mr. Speaker, the Green Party supports this bill. We will be voting for it. We support the intents of greater tracking, but what we want to do is to make sure that story we do tell has a substance behind it. And I note that Russell Norman, the Green Party co-leader, recently released one of our water priority election issues. Half of our rivers and streams, Mr. Speakers, aren't safe to swim in. That's why we need to, when we talk about this brand overseas, using this new technology, using the government support to establish it, we've got a good, compelling story to tell. Kia ora.
Rahui Kātani.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.